right, welcome everybody. We have an amazing company here to see, as well as a couple folks from Vidyard to present how marketing can be used to align sales marketing. So how video can be used to align sales and marketing. I apologize, get my words mixed up here. But we have Marcy, who's the VP of Marketing at Vidyard, as well as Dan, the VP of Revenue from Vidyard. So needless to say, you got a couple heavy hitters to walk you through exactly how you can obviously leverage Vidyard, but video in general as far as aligning sales and marketing. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to the Vidyard crew and we'll get through.
Sounds great. All right. And wanted to mention too, we'll monitor chat and Q&A, ask anything you want. We'll stop and adjust and answer questions. It makes it for a much more enjoyable session. So feel free to pop in there. We'll monitor both of them. All right. The other thing he mentioned is if you click the little 4 arrow thing in the top right, it will make our slides bigger. There's nothing in there that you really need to be investigating, but it does have some cool features that Marcy's team put in, some nice GIF animations, which are always fun. All right. So as he mentioned, I head up the sales and partners team here at Vidyard. I've actually been at Vidyard for over 8 years, back when we were in a house, figuring out what our product market fit is. So happy to answer any questions about video along the way. Pass it off to Marcy.
And my name is Marcy Dobozy, and I am VP of Marketing. I think this week is my 4th year anniversary at Vidyard. Been lots of changes and exciting stuff happening. And as Dan mentioned, happy to answer any questions as we go through here.
Perfect. So we're going to go through kind of 3 sections. It was tough to figure out how to organize a presentation about marketing and sales alignment because there's just everywhere. And then where does video specifically play a part? But we're going to start with campaigns and programs, go through some more outreach and lead flow stuff, and then finalize with just all the change management that we've had to go through this year and how we used video to make sure our teams are aligned. And as mentioned, we can have questions anytime, but we'll also hold some time at the end.
Okay, let's jump right in here. I'm going to talk a little bit about 2 very specific campaigns, / programs that we've got underway at Vidyard. And Dan and I chose these 2 specific programs because they both require a high amount of sales and marketing alignment. But keep in mind that the things that we're talking about here are really applicable across any campaign or go-to-market motion that you've got underway with your organization. These ones are just very, very, as I said, specific to requiring a lot of sales and marketing alignment. And the first one, of course, is account-based marketing. And if you are running a successful account-based marketing program, or if you're thinking about running one, or maybe it's not so successful, you'll know firsthand that this is like the Uber alignment requirement between sales and marketing, because it's called account-based marketing, but I'm sure I'm not alone in wishing that we could change that name, because it's really not just a marketing program. At its very core, sales and marketing and all of go-to-market really need to be so tightly aligned on what this entire motion is for it to be successful. And I know from my own personal experience in past roles, where when it was approached as just a marketing program, it took so long to get rolling and get the sort of buy-in from across the organization that was required. So it's super important right from the very get-go to position any account-based marketing program as really a go-to-market program that touches all of these different functional groups. And that's really what we did at Vidyard, is right from the very inception, we made sure that we were tightly aligned. And one of the ways that we did this, sort of jumping right in here to the use of video, was through the use of video, both what we call asynchronous video, so on-demand video or user-generated video that you're recording yourself basically and sending, and synchronous video, so things like this or things like Zoom or other sort of live conversations. And it was super critical and important for us to be using this type of video all through setting up what the goals were, how we were going to interact with each other, account selection, any sort of communication basically that we were running within the team. We would use this sort of video communication to make sure that we had everybody on board, that enablement was happening, that everyone knew what we were doing and why we were doing it in a really sort of on-demand, fast-paced, easy to update way.
Yeah, and I think the best part about some of those videos that Marcy's team created when we were launching the program is what I didn't think about when we were launching it is, okay, now we have 5 new AEs or BDRs start next month. You can reuse that content. So all that video and all the sharing that we did for the launch of the program, we then built into our enablement and onboarding program so that they believe it's their program. I still haven't figured out a good name for it. Like Marcy said, account-based marketing makes it seem like a marketing program, but it's split almost 50-50, and there's a lot of sales stuff that needs to happen in there. So we've got to make sure that it's part of our process, not just like, oh, marketing sent me some leads. It's like, this is our program, and we've got to make the most of it. Anything else on kind of the launch and the enablement?
I don't think so. I mean, it's super, as I said, it's core to, and it's going to come up as a bit of a theme throughout this entire webinar today, actually, how important and the flexibility of being able to use video in the planning and enablement process.
Yeah, and then as soon as the team kicked it off, the biggest thing we found was, through all GDPR and all the other regulations, it's like, we need to get more contacts opted in to our ABM program. And so the very first touch we ended up doing is we worked with marketing to identify the top 10 to 20 contacts in each account, and we would send them personalized videos. So we'd make an account video that's like, here's why I really wanted to share this document with you, whatever it is, whatever the CTA was that we thought that customer would be interested in. And when they click and watch that video, it then drives them to a piece of content, whether it's a webinar like this, or a white paper or a case study. But the point was to get them opted in. So now they've clicked through, they filled out a form, Marketo or whatever marketing system you have can now actually run your account-based marketing system. Without people opted in, what can marketing do? They don't have anybody to message. And so sales using video to get people to opt in was our very first step in our ABM journey. And it still is the first step when we get things going with new accounts. So each quarter, we're constantly refreshing accounts, working with the marketing team. I actually just saw a video sent out to the SMB team today saying, don't forget, today's the last day to get all your new accounts in for Q2's ABM program. Here's the report, here's what we're looking for, here's how to structure them in this document. And it just helped a ton. So now you've got all of this ABM working and you get a qualified account. Well, what do you do then? Then we can start engaging people using video. We actually have some automatic videos that are sent even using the ABM program. So Demandbase can automatically use Marketo to send out a video to a customer based on what they've done on your site to once again get them through more engagement minutes and get them to be qualified. Then obviously the sales team is following up when they become qualified. It's like, hey, I saw you watched this content. I saw you watched the case study. Here's some more examples of this. I'd love to have a call with you. And then the eventuality is to get them in a live meeting. But video flows through every step of the program, from kicking it off all the way through to following up on the leads.
And even in that, we use different types of video at different stages. And we work very closely, marketing and sales, on assigning different lead scoring to different videos at different points, or amount of a video watched. And that's all done in conjunction together, that we'll run through the programs and see what's performing and tweak the lead scoring as we go based on the sort of engagement levels that we're seeing across the different video tactics between sales and marketing. Another tactic that I actually just learned about today, Dan, that we've been deploying throughout the ABM program, which speaks to the ability to really target a specific persona within ABM, is sales and marketing came together, identified a secondary persona in our ABM target, and had a salesperson record a video that we now send to all of these personas, talking about how their use case as their target audience, which in this case happens to be a salesperson also, is slightly different than maybe the general team, and how their use case and how they might benefit from using video or Vidyard is more in line with what this salesperson who's recording the video is too. So it's making a personal connection between their roles and being able to target, like I said, sort of a secondary persona with a piece of content that can get reused across different targeted accounts.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the key thing too, is how to reuse videos. People get scared. It's like, I need to make a video for every single customer. It's going to take too much time. There's a lot of ways you can not do that, but it seems like you're making it personal.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So this, we've titled this Product-Led Growth Test Programs. So we're a product-led growth organization. And what that means for us is that we're constantly iterating and testing new programs and new campaigns. And we want to do so in a way that is super fast. We've got, we've probably got 15 different programs on the go at any time that have not made their way into our ABM programs or into our standard evergreen programming, because we're trying to optimize them first and we need to test them. And we want to sort of keep them a little bit siloed from the rest of our systems and really the rest of the organization, so that we can keep a really, really fluid group of very agile individuals working on these programs. And so again, it's a highly, highly iterative, high velocity, lots of changes, lots of optimizing going on. And so we tend to use video very, very frequently to drive the internal alignment that's required across that sort of pace of programming that we need in order to be able to hit the targets that we have for ourselves. And the reason why this works really well, in addition to all the things that we're talking about in terms of general internal communication and enablement, is that because they happen so frequently, that in the world that we're living in first, especially in sort of a digital first environment, is that not everyone is available at the same time. And so this, by sending videos for this form of communication, it frees up that ability to, or that need to have everybody together at the same time, and people can interact with the content when it works for them in their own schedule, which over the last 2 years, I think has become super critical. And the other cool thing about it is, as the sender of the content or that video, you actually can see who has engaged with the video. So you know who in this tiny, fast, agile group is up to speed on the latest information, and who is actioning what, and who needs to work on what. And it just allows us to move at the pace that we really require.
Yeah. And there's so many different tests you can do. So I put these two screenshots in here specifically. The first one, we actually used a real-time personalized generator so that the name changes. So Jacob here only made this video once, but it gets sent out to thousands of people each month based on when they engage with our content. And then based on that view, the sales team follows up. So you can even find ways to automate some of these really high volume, but potentially low converting assets, so that you're just testing the market. Send a video like this, automate some personalization, and see who engages with the video, and then only follow up with the people who engage. So there's a lot of different ways that you can test that out. The bottom one is more of the internal. It's, to Marcy's point, I've got teams in Australia, Europe, here in North America, and trying to get them all on the phone at the same time is impossible unless you make the Australian team stay up in the middle of the night. And so we send out all of the content that we are training on. We make sure to do it asynchronously or a hybrid, where we have the live presentation for people to ask questions, but then we also send it out afterwards. And this one specifically was, how should you reach out to a free user? What kind of talk track should you test out to, prove to them why they should talk about a paid Vidyard subscription? One of my favorite examples of some of these style campaigns we've tested was, we created a team called Sales Labs. It basically was going after the super small SMBs that we just didn't have as customers previously. And the team made a simple video that just sent out a message to hundreds of people who previously were dead ops because they couldn't afford Vidyard. And we'd created some new pricing so that we could have them as customers. So we messaged them all and said that. Huge response rate, 30-40% response rate, meetings booked all over the place. And so that team went to our video producer and said, let's make a more professional one. Like, this was pretty badly lit. The audio was terrible. It doesn't look like a great video for our brand. Let's make a good video. So Blake, our video director, made this great video. We sent it out, and our response rate was a third of what it was before, because it didn't look authentic. The video it was too professional. And so we actually had to go back to Blake, get him to make us a crappy version, which he didn't really like doing, but it's like, let's back it down to 720. Let's make some mistakes. Let's have the lighting wrong and send it out again. And we went right back to the 40% response rate. So there's a lot of testing to do with video. It's not all about making ultra professional videos. It's about being personal and human. It's the overused term of human to human interaction. It's the case. It's like you want to get through someone's inbox and seem like you're a human, so then they're willing to engage with you further. And then you can test and iterate on what that message should really be. I always think of video and email a lot like a video voicemail. The point of a voicemail was not for somebody to reply to you. It's so they realize that your email was written by a human, and they'll respond to your email. Nobody wants to call you back, but they'll send you an email. And that's what these videos can do. So there's tons of different tests you can do here and use videos in different ways to align with the marketing process. So that we can just optimize it instead of always having to wait for somebody to come to the website and request a demo.
And another example that I can call out around sales and marketing alignment is if you think about all the stuff that Dan was just talking about in the context of, say, an event, sales and marketing can work very closely together on a targeted list of the highest value accounts. And perhaps for those ones, the salesperson might create a user-generated video themselves, a custom one for that specific account. And then they could do a tier 2 of, the secondary level, the secondary value accounts that we want to target. And that one could be a pre-recorded canned video that maybe is applicable across all of those. So then you start to be able to take advantage of reusing and repurposing that content over depending on which level of targeted account that you're after here.
All right, so moving on to the next section is around kind of automating some of the lead flow and how the sales and marketing teams work together. So I'll start off with the more outreach use of video. So how we work to kind of coordinate our plan of attack. We've already covered some of these. The account-based video, so that means I'm making one video for an account that either marketing or sales can send out to everyone at that account. If you're more of an enterprise side, that means you could send it to dozens or hundreds of people potentially. Whereas using one-to-one video in your first touch depends on the strategy. So I had a conversation with Salesforce a few years ago, and their lead volume is so high and their response on their first touch is so high that that's actually not the best place for them to use video because it could slow them down. If they're already getting 30% response rate, you probably don't need to make a one-to-one video. So they chose to use it in kind of their fourth step, where basically all the really hot leads have stopped responding and now it's into the colder leads. So how do we engage them? Let's use a one-to-one video to really break through that noise. Whereas our team, we use it right at the very beginning. So we kind of have a template with some key language that we use that product marketing developed to catch people's attention. And then we just send it to each of our first contacts. We reuse that video by then replying to it and sending it again later in our cadences. So you got to think of ways to constantly reuse some of these videos as well, so that you're not just spinning your wheels making a video every day for the same person. But the big one that I would suggest to work with marketing on is case studies and micro demos. Even though we are Vidyard, we're the personalized video people that all my team should be sending hyper-personalized, great whiteboard videos like Terrence and Matt here. But there are data in our system that shows that 60% of the videos we're sending are actually pre-canned content. Because you finish a demo and the customer may say, oh, send me over integration details on SalesLoft, send me details on what Salesforce looks like. And that's where you're able to just use this pre-canned content. And so micro demos or case studies, 1-minute pieces of content, we coordinate making them with marketing as well as with our solution consultants, depending on how technical it is, are amazing use of video to get the message directly from marketing out to our customers, but also the customers, they're asking for these things. They don't want to watch a full demo. They may just want some short snippets of content to be able to do that. And yeah, so pre-canned is not personal. Key thing here is what you can do is make an intro like Terrence did here with the whiteboard saying, hey, Eric, as mentioned, I wanted to send you over these details on how SalesLoft works. The video will play right after this. And then that pre-canned content flows right after. So you're still making a personal connection and then sending over the pre-canned content afterwards. So it's just another great way that we all work together to make sure we're making the best videos for our customers.
And we'll often, through regular connection points between sales and marketing, actually take some of the custom responses that happen on a very frequent basis, so more of like sort of an FAQ, and start to create those canned pieces of content with them. So we stay close to the feedback that the SDR and BDR and sales folks are getting, and the responses that they're sending out, so that we, the marketing team, can provide more canned content for them to be able to scale what they're doing on a regular basis. The next point is less about outbound video content and more, again, about internal communications and alignment. We have a regular demand gen sales sync, and one of the main ways that we use video here is to manage lead flow. As you know, there are times of the year, event season is a big one, where there is a real spike in inbound leads coming into the teams, and we use video to make sure that we communicate back to all of the recipients of those leads the volumes that they can expect, where they're coming from, sort of approved messaging or recommended messaging, as well as any enablement around other assets that they might need to make sure that they're really making their message heard. So we tend to use video, again, for anything around internal alignment and enablement whenever possible. One of the lines, I think it's actually on the next slide, that we usually talk about a lot is, instead of that meeting could have been an email, more along the lines of that meeting could have been a video. And so we sort of start there all the time, is, do we need to meet in person live for this, or would we be better equipped to make sure that people have the information that they need in advance so that we can have a very valuable live conversation?
Yeah, and my favorite part about this last one on specific campaigns is, if there is some campaigns that we make a 30-second video about what it was, like after this meeting, I'm sure the marketing team will say, like, here's what Tenbound Conference was, and here's the leads you can expect. We can put that link right in the Salesforce campaign. So maybe you're not an SDR, maybe you're an AE that gets one of the leads and you're not up to date on all the latest campaigns. It's really easy just to click on that campaign name in Salesforce and see the video, so that you're, okay, I have some context on why this person is interested to talk to us, and now I'll reach out. So you can put these videos in a lot of different places. But to your point, Marcy, it is on the next slide. So we'll get right into more internal comms and how to coordinate the overall team using video. There's a lot of different ones here. I threw in some different slides. There's alignment between the SDR and AE handoff, the AE and the CSM handoff, SC and technical question coordination with the AE. So there's a lot of different places here that my team needs to coordinate using video amongst each other in the sales org as well as the CS org. Great example here. I already talked about the demo follow-up with some of those micro demos, kind of introducing them and then sending them. But even more key, I love when an SDR will introduce the AE via video. So then there's always that moment where you've booked a meeting online and then you get on the phone and it's a completely different human. That's really jarring for a customer. So try to use video during that. Have kind of canned content that you could send to each customer introducing your AE, so that they know who the person is they're about to speak with. Maybe they already spent 20 minutes with the SDR. So it's very jarring to all of a sudden get on to somebody new and potentially ask the same questions over again. So get some of these intros done. Same thing with SEs. So the SEs will make some videos, or SCs, depending on what you call them. They'll maybe make a video explaining a technical problem that the customer was asking about on the demo, and they can give that to the AE to follow up with the customer. So now it's all in one message. Their customer's not receiving some information from the SE, some from the AE, some from the CSM. You can share that video amongst each other and send it as a single piece of content to your customer, which is a great way. And then I love the way our CS team has built in Gainsight. They've got a lot of messages that are automated plus some personal ones, where they're walking through renewal details. They're walking through kind of what the renewal process looks like 90 days ahead of time. Gainsight sends that video out. And then also they're doing QBR walkthroughs. So if a customer does a half hour, 1 hour QBR with you, record that, or record a short snippet of it to share with the broader team, maybe people who couldn't make that QBR this quarter. A lot of different ways to kind of repackage that content. But also there's a lot of communication between these teams. There's sending notes back and forth. What we have to do is, when you submit an SC request, so you want an SC to do a demo for you, you have to give them all the notes, but you also have to insert a video just verbalizing, like, here's what the customer said, here's what their pain points were, and here's what they expect to see on the demo, so that the SC has some context that they can then use in their presentation and in their build of that demo.
Yeah, I think another couple examples to call out here around different use cases is often the information that gets shared with an individual or with the contact that you have within an account actually needs to be shared much more broadly within that same account. And so by providing a video content or a video recap of the meeting, that individual within your account can share it amongst other stakeholders and bring everybody that you're talking to or would like to speak to up to speed at the same time.
Awesome. I think we're out of time, but I'll leave you with one final thing here. Use video a ton internal. Send Friday updates to your team, even if it's just a friendly hello. Like, without being in the office as much as we used to be, your team needs to see you. So make sure you're sending videos internally, if not more than with your customers. This is a huge way that you can offset meetings. Next week, we were supposed to have a big SLT meeting. Instead, we're just sending each other videos and syncing afterwards, but also just nice, friendly Friday updates as well.
Fantastic. That's a great idea. I like the internal kind of video memo back and forth. I think it will eliminate a lot of noise overall. But This was fantastic. Marcy, Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Of course, go and check out the Vidyard booth. They'll be in there. Make sure to answer any questions in there, of course, about Vidyard or just video in general, as it's become a daily experience for most of us. And we want to continue growing that. So Dan, Marcy, thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.